Hello everyone and welcome back to Farming Simulator 19. We are back here on No Man's Land trying to build our very own farm. After the first episode you saw me cutting down some trees and moving some stuff around. I got this guy now. This is a steer loader, a skid steer. A lot of people might call it a bobcat. That's what I've always called it. And it's a pretty cool little machine, and I have a bag carrier on the front of it that has belts that will attach the thing. So what I'm going to try to do is use that to pick up trees when I cut them. We'll see how it works. Right here is the big bag handler, is what the official name of it is. This is what I bought for the attachment for my skid steer loader to try to pick up trees. I've never done it before, so we'll see if it works. I've used it to pick up pallets and all that kind of stuff. And this is the bobcat that I bought. But I've used it to pick up pallets and those kind of things, so I imagine it's probably going to work for trees as well. I just don't know if weight-wise it's going to be able to handle it. This is the manure/lime spreader that I bought. And this one right here is what we're going to be using here in a minute to try to spread lime on this field. So let's get to doing that first. As you can see, that is the only little bit there that we have. And it says it needs lime. So we're going to go ahead and add lime to it. Okay, we're going to put one of these filling stations in. This is the buy anything mod. You can buy anything in the game from this. Liquid, seed, solid, doesn't matter. If it is available in the game, you can buy it from this mod. And then we're going to put the selling station over here beside it. This is where you can sell anything in the game. So no matter what I make, I can sell it here. It'll take bales, it'll take loose, it'll take liquid, it'll take manure, it'll take everything. So I'm going to try to get this lined up kind of good so it doesn't mismatch too much. It's going to be a little bit ahead of it, unfortunately, because of the curve of that water. There's nothing I can do about that, but that should be good enough. Alright, so we're going to go over here and we're going to fill this up with lime at the Buy Anything mod. And if everything works out, we'll just fill it all the way up. And then we'll use whatever little bit we use. And then we should be able to sell it again at the Sell Anything mod, I would imagine. I'm not sure if it's going to work because of the fact that this is a spreader and not just a trailer. But we will see. Okay, nothing popped up when I drove over it. That is a little concerning. But we're going to roll with it and see what happens. Worst case scenario, I'm going to have to drain all of it out of this thing if I want to put manure in it. Alright, so we're going to put lime on the field. For those of you who haven't seen this yet, it's really cool. It makes it look like it snowed on the field. And this is just to prep the soil and fertilize it and get it ready to grow for when I plant it. Ordinarily, the steps you would take, you would plow it, then you would cultivate it, and then you would lime it, and then you would plant it, and then you would fertilize it, and then you would fertilize it again later on. But I'm not going to be doing all of those steps because I have a planter that will plant directly in without having to cultivate, and I've already seeded, as you can see. It just needed the lime on the field in order for the seed to start to grow. So that's good. Alright, so now we have it good to go. It is fertilized as well because the planter fertilizes it while it plants. So I can add another layer of fertilizer to it with the manure that will also go in this truck. But unfortunately, I think I might have messed up because I don't think I can sell out of this truck. And that's not a good thing. Yeah, nothing's popping up. Nothing on the menu. I can't just unload it. Wonder if I turn it on, if that'll sell or not. Yeah, it's not, nothing's popping up. Alright, so what I'm going to have to do is run all of this out of the machine here in order to empty it. And that's unfortunate, but that's what I'm going to have to do. So I will go ahead and take care of that and get rid of all of this, and then I'll be back with you. Alright, we are down to the last 400 liters here. I cannot tell you how long this took to run all this out. This was insane. I don't think I'll do that again. Alright, so now we got to put some manure in here so that we can add more fertilizer to the field. But I'm not going to do what I just did and fill it all the way up, because if I can't empty it other than spraying it, it just takes way too long. It was like 10 minutes of just sitting here waiting for that thing to empty out. It was insane. So we're going to line up here and put manure on our little field. This will add the final layer of fertilizer that we need to get the full yield out of the crop. And then once we get this done, it's simply waiting for the... Oh, I'm out. Waiting for the crop to grow. So while we're waiting, we are going to clear some trees and make some more room for plowing up more field, so we can have a bigger field. I'm hung up. The game plan is that eventually we are going to have this entire map plowed up as one field. But we'll see how that goes. That's my idea for it, but I have a feeling, depending on how big of chunks I do at a time, that we could end up in a situation where the entire video is nothing but plowing and you still barely make any progress. And I don't want that, so we'll see how it works. Alright, so that's job done for the field. So we're going to pull over here and park and jump into our skid steer and start working on some trees. Let's see, yep. See how it's the dark blue now? That means that it has its final fertilized state. So we are good to go. There are little bitty pieces that didn't get the manure, but that's okay. I'm not worried that much about it. Alright, so now here we are in our skid steer, and we're going to go over here and start cutting some trees down. Now I'm going to cut them this way. The first episode I cut them and loaded them into a trailer and brought them over. This episode I'm going to use a skid steer, and I'm going to cut down the trees and clear the branches and carry them over using the skid steer if it works. Next episode I'm going to buy a bigger forestry cutter that will actually cut the trees and get rid of them, and I won't even have trees anymore. And then maybe the episode after that I might do the thing on the map where I cut down the sign and all the trees disappear. Because I think by that time we'll have seen enough of tree cutting. And if I'm going to make this whole thing one field, I'm going to have to get rid of every tree on the map anyway. And it's going to take a tremendously long time to cut every tree down and take it over and put it through the chipper and all that kind of stuff. So we might just go ahead and get rid of them all. We'll see what happens. I kind of enjoy the forestry thing. It's nice and fun and relaxing, but at the same token, it doesn't really get us any closer to our goal when we could just clear all the trees and spend that time plowing instead, because we're going to have to plow a lot. I mean, we're talking hours and hours and hours of plowing. For each of these lines across the map, I could probably spend an entire hour plowing and only make a couple laps and not even be done with that. It's going to be pretty crazy. So I'm going to try something here of dropping this directly into the chipper without having to cut it up and all that, and see how that works out. I've done this with larger forestry equipment, like the big Scorpion King and stuff like that. So I don't see why it wouldn't work using the skid steer. And it does. Now, you're not going to make a lot of money this way off of it, because it's only going to count a tiny bit at the end. So for that whole tree, I made nothing, it looks like. Oh, so that was worth doing. If you do trees correctly and you take them to a lumber mill and sell them as full logs like this, you can make quite a bit of money doing trees. But when you're doing them as wood chips like I am here, it's, look at that. That is so heavy. It's not very great money. So I probably won't mess with them too many more episodes. I don't think I'm going to be able to pick this whole log up. I'm going to try, but I just don't see it happening. Oh, I did it. Kind of facing the wrong way, though. Maybe I can come up here and turn around and feed it that way, if I don't flip. That's always the danger when you're dealing with something real heavy like this. The higher you go, the further out of the stability triangle you get, and the more likely that your equipment is to tip over. So you have to be very careful. I'm only going to raise it up once I get to where I'm going, because I don't want to travel very far with it up, because that's pretty much guaranteeing that I'm going to flip. See, I almost flipped there. I started to go and I just let it go. Alright, so we are going to go ahead and chop this up so that that piece will go in. That'll get this section going. I don't think I can pick it up. I think it's still going to be too heavy, so I'm going to cut it again. I might be able to do it after this one. See, that time I got $3.29 for that one piece that went in first. And then this piece I will get, I can't see what it says, $2.25. So you make a lot more when you cut it up than you do when you sell it whole for some reason. It's supposed to be the other way around. I don't understand why it's not working that way, but it's just not. We'll load this last piece in. And there we go. Let's see what we make off this one. That one was $641, so that was a pretty good log there. Now we'll just keep on cutting and keep on bringing over logs. I'm probably not going to feed every log in as I go. I'll probably just pile them up and cut them up off screen. when I'm not recording, just cut them up then and throw them through, because otherwise it's going to get real monotonous. I think this series is going to get monotonous anyway, if I'm being honest, because there's going to be so much plowing to make the field what I want it to be, that it's going to be entire episodes of nothing but plowing. And I don't exactly know how I'm going to handle that. If I'm going to kind of do a montage and kind of speed through it so that you don't have to sit here and watch the entire episode just me driving around plowing, or what I'm going to do with it. I really don't know. It's an interesting idea to try to do the whole map, but doing it this way, I don't exactly know how it's going to work as an actual video. I mean, it's going to be a lot of videos. It's not just going to be one, because this is a giant map. And I think I'm definitely going to have to go ahead and get rid of all the trees at some point, because if I don't, it's simply going to be way too much. Although if I leave the trees in, I can cut them as I go. I can plow a little bit, cut trees a little bit, plow a little bit. Maybe it won't be so monotonous of just watching plowing. I don't know, we'll see. What I'll probably end up doing is doing entire episodes with just plowing, but fast forwarding it to where it's going at high speed, or maybe I'll start off and show you and then come back later on. I don't know. Or maybe I'll just do the entire episode just the way I'm doing it now, just doing it, and plow it and see how it goes. Because as long as we're talking about stuff, I think it'll be alright. It's so hard to see with all this brush and debris and everything around. I don't know if I'm even going to be able to pick this one up. This is fairly large. And this skid steer is not a super powerful piece of equipment. Wow, look at that. It's got me doing an endo. You remember endos? I don't know if you guys were into BMX and riding your bikes and stuff when you were a kid, but an endo is where you go up on your front wheel. It's like you're doing a wheelie, but you're doing it with your front wheel on the ground, your back wheel up. The way we used to do it is you'd be riding and you would take your foot and you would jam it on your front wheel, in between the frame and the front wheel, and that would act as sort of a brake and would cause your back wheel to go up in the air. And we always called it an endo. I don't know if that was the actual name of it or not, but that's what we called it. Alright, so I managed to kind of cheat the system and get that giant tree log over here. I shouldn't have. There should have been no reason that worked. It wouldn't have worked like that in real life. But it worked like that here, so I'm not going to complain. I will take it. Now we're going to transfer over to our tractor, and we're going to pick up our stump cutter over here and go ahead and clear the stumps. As I said last video, I like to keep up with that. I don't like to let too many stumps build up, because it'll hang you up when you're trying to move trees. And let me get this thing out of the way too. And it'll just be a pain in the butt for you. And when you're trying to plow, if you've forgotten any stumps, it'll hang up your plow as well. In real life, it'll damage your plow. But I don't think it'll damage it on the game, but it'll definitely make it so you have a rougher time of it. Alright, let's see if we can find these stumps. There should be, I believe, 2. We're going to kind of cheat the system a little bit and come over here and paint the ground to get rid of all the bushes and everything, so I can actually see what I'm doing and see where the stumps are. Okay, I can already see them, so that works. Alright. Let's make sure it's turned on. And let's go ahead and begin cutting. This is a cool little machine here. It can also cut down trees, so if I really wanted to, I could just back up to the tree with it on and it'll cut the tree for me. And the tree should disappear completely, I think. So there won't be a tree for me to pick up and take over. I can actually get rid of the tree completely with this thing. But there's another machine that does a much better job of that I'll get in the next episode. But for this episode, we're going to cut some of these trees down, and we're going to use the skid steer to bring them over. And then in between this episode and the next episode, I'll saw up all the trees that I bring over and go ahead and feed them through, make a little bit of money so that we can afford that other piece of equipment. This is my plow. So let me get this guy lined up here. Maybe I can add a little bit to the field. Don't have a great deal of room, but at least you can see how it works. Alright, we have to lower it and we have to hit allow create fields. And that should do. So now we're going to plow up this little bit of area here that we just cleared. And it will be added onto our field, so we'll be able to plant this. Next time I plant, I will be able to plant this plus what was already there. And we'll just keep on doing that, and eventually we'll have the entire map done. Now I'm going to do much larger sections as we go, but I have to kind of try to be careful, because if I bite off too much, it's going to take multiple episodes just to plow it out. And I'm pretty sure I will make that mistake, because a lot of times I get ahead of myself and I bite off a little bit more than I can chew. And I believe that'll probably happen here. I'm not even with the other side, am I? But there's trees in the way, so I can't be even. Alright, we're just going to kind of make a cut across maybe from over here. Try to get as close as we can to filling that in over there. I think we'll get pretty close. We might be able to get the entire thing lined up correctly. Looks like we will be able to. That worked. See, there's always a solution. You just got to think outside the box sometimes. If it doesn't work one way, just come at the problem a different way. And eventually you'll make it work. That's great advice for farming, but it's also great advice for life. There's always more than one way to solve a problem. And if you find yourself butting your head up against the wall and not being able to get something done, just stop what you're doing, take a breath, and look at it from a different angle. And you'll probably come up with a better solution that'll work. Nothing is ever truly impossible. It's just that nobody's done it yet. So you have to figure out a way that you'll be able to pull it off. Now this is a very small section of field that I'm plowing up here. I just wanted you guys to be able to finally see what plowing looks like and how I'm creating the fields. And we're going to be doing this on a much larger scale soon. Because my goal is for everything you see to be one field. The entire map. Now, on these water parts, I have a plan for that as well. And we'll see how it works out. I'm thinking maybe I will turn the water into land by landscaping it, raising it up and everything, and maybe put some sort of animal pen over on it. But we'll see. Because I'm going to need something to bring in some money so that I can continue on buying property and plowing, unless I do the government subsidy cheat, which I could. Because really the whole point of this gameplay here is just to make this all one map, so it really doesn't matter. I don't have to be super honest and everything about how the money comes in. It doesn't matter. Now we'll cut a few more trees. There are maps on this game that are just for forestry, where there's nothing but giant forest. And you just go out and you start clearing land. And those maps are a lot of fun too, because you can start off and cut wood and sell wood and everything, and then as you clear out land, you can actually plow it up and build your own fields like I'm doing here. So you could take a forestry map that has no fields, no sell points, no nothing. The only thing there is the forest and a place to sell your logs. And you can turn that into a map that has a bunch of fields on it for you to farm. And then you can put the Sell Anything mod that I put on my farm here on that map, and then you can have a sell point for anything you want to grow. So that's always a fun challenge, to take on a forestry map and turn it into a farming map. And we might do one of those at some point. I've done it before. I did it on Grizzly Mountain map. I turned that into a farming map. We might tackle one of those forestry maps one day and do that with it. We'll see. It really depends on how this one goes. Because this is going to be a fun idea, and once I get it done, it's going to be pretty amazing to look at. But the process of getting there is going to be long and arduous, and we'll see. We might all get tired of it long before that and say, to hell with this. Now there are different mods you can use if you're on PC, and you can kind of alter the mods and make it so that they will clear the entire map at once and all that kind of stuff. To where when you run with your plow, you can literally plow hundreds of feet at a time. The only thing I can really do on console is there's a mod that enables you to use 90% of the cultivators and stuff like that as plows also. So doing that, I can have a much larger plow than what I have now. Because what I'm actually using now is a mod. It's a subsoiler. And I'm using it as a plow. Because it's a little bit larger and it's right behind, it's not angled. And I don't like the angled as much. I like the flat plow that's behind me, so that I can better judge what I'm plowing up. But in a couple episodes, I'll probably download that mod and we'll get one of the bigger cultivators to be our plow. So we'll be able to do a much larger section at a time. But even with that, it's not going to be a quick job. It's going to take a long time to plow all this up. I love moving these logs like this. This is so crazy. I mean, it's not realistic at all. I mean, it is completely unrealistic, but it's kind of fun too. It's going to be a lot of work cutting up all these logs and throwing them in there too. I'll do some of that in the videos, but a lot of it I'll probably do off screen in between while I'm waiting for the fields to grow and all that kind of stuff. Now some people will come through and cut down all the trees all at once. They'll just cut down, and leave them all lay. And then they will come through and pick them up and drag them over and all that. But I don't know, doing them one at a time seems to work too. Because that way you still have the pretty forest around you while you're working. It doesn't look like a hurricane came through and blew everything over. Plus, if you don't get to all the trees and it's time to harvest and you have a bunch still laying there, they're kind of in the way. On the earlier farming games for Farming Simulator, when you cleared the branches off the trees, you didn't do it this way. You didn't do it from the side. You could actually run straight down the trunk, hitting the button, and it would clear off all the branches. This is the way they have you doing it in 19. I like the old way better. The old way was much easier. I'm going to have a pretty good pile of logs by the time this episode is over. And the nice thing is, some of the bigger chunks are worth like $600–800 a piece. So you're looking at a good chunk of change laying over there once it gets cut up and thrown into the chipper. Now when I decide to get rid of all the trees, I will get rid of the chipper as well, but first I have to cut up everything I've got over here. But I won't do that for a couple episodes yet, because I want to do a couple episodes with actually cutting the wood first. The first one I did with just the chainsaw and cut it up and threw it in the trailer and brought it over. This one I'm using the skid steer. The next one I'm going to buy a piece of equipment that'll cut down the tree and just completely get rid of it. And then probably the episode after that, maybe, I will just get rid of all the trees. That way we can concentrate on plowing up all this area. Now before I plow it all up, I also need to landscape it, because I have to smooth it all out so that there aren't points that stick up too much and cause it to miss seed when I'm planting. That's a pretty easy process as well. You just go into the landscaping mode that I use to paint the ground with the grass, and you smooth it out there during that mode. And I'll show that to you when we get there. Alright, where is this other? There it is. Alright, we'll hit this one, get rid of it. And there we go. Forgot about this stump over here. Just saw it. Okay, that should be everything. Alright, so let's cut down some more. I was thinking about picking up one of those Lizard Kings and showing you that process of using that to cut the tree and bring it over to the wood chipper and cut it into 1 foot, 2 foot, something like that, increments, and dropping it in. And I could do that, but that's a lot of money. Because the Lizard King itself is, I think, $400-some-thousand. That's pretty pricey. Now, if I'm going to do the money cheat, it's not really that big of a deal how pricey it is, but if I don't, then that's going to really hurt. I don't even have that kind of money right now. If I cut up all of the logs that is here and all the trees that I'm cutting and put through the chipper, I should have enough to buy that other machine. That's the goal for the next episode. And we'll just kind of take it by ear. We'll play it as it comes and see what we do. The only thing I know for certain is that I'm going to plow up this entire map. How I get there, what I do in the meantime, who knows. I'm definitely going to continue to plant and harvest and all that as well to bring in some money and plow while I'm waiting for the crops to grow. I think that's a smart way to do it, because that way I've still got money coming in. Right now it's not going to be much money at all because the field is very small. But we have all the equipment we really need to do the job. We could definitely get better equipment and bigger equipment, and we will as the series goes on. Just a whole lot of work that goes into getting a good working farm going, where you're actually making a lot of money. I'm getting to that point a little bit on the other gameplay I'm doing at Goldcrest Valley, where I'm getting to the point where I have sheep and chickens going there now, and I'm getting ready to start with pigs and cows soon. I'm making silage and hay and getting everything together, and things are starting to look up there. On the one I just finished, I think I had like $300-some-thousand saved up, so that's pretty nice. And on that one, I'm not doing any kind of money cheats or anything. That's a straight up kind of farmer career mode kind of deal. It's where I'm not going to use any money cheats or anything like that. This one I probably will here in a bit, because I got to get a lot of big equipment to get this stuff done in any kind of timely manner. I mean, I can always play it straight and not cheat the money in, but if I do that, you're looking at 10-15 episodes in before I even get a big field going. And that's a lot of work. Which I don't mind doing it. It's a fun game. I love this game. But what I'll probably do is bring in the government subsidy just to get a couple $1 million in, and that'll enable me to buy the equipment that I need, and then I will get rid of it so that I still need to work to bring in some money to keep going. But it'll give me a good amount of land to start with to try to get plowed up and get working. Goodness gracious, this one is heavy. It's big though. I might have to cut this because I can't even move it. Yeah, it's not going anywhere. Alright, let me go ahead and cut this here into 2 pieces at least. That way it's only half as heavy. Let's see if it'll pick it up now. Oh yeah, that's much better. Still a very big log, but the entire tree was just a little bit ridiculous. There wasn't no way that thing was moving. Yeah, I'm building up a nice little pile over here. Back when we used to sell wood, my grandpa, my uncle, and me, we would have piles at the house, 2 or 3 of them, that were about as tall as that building right there, full tree logs like that, where we'd bring them in on semi and offload them with the crane, and they would just be really, really big. And then we would just go through with the chainsaw and cut it up into pieces that we could split. And of course we had a wood splitter, gas powered, that we would just sit down on a stool and pull a lever, and it would split each piece of wood for us. Because I just don't think you could take a maul to that pile and really get as much done as needed to get done before you're just wore out. But that was a lot of fun. Many a night I sat there and split wood for hours, looking out over the field, watching the cows and watching the deer run around in the field and everything. Nice, cool summer evening. Life was good. All right. See, I can't even barely see what I'm doing. I'm going to try to get rid of some of this mess in here so I can actually see. I don't like all the little bushes and vegetation that grows up. Makes it difficult to see your tree stumps and what you're doing. In the old days, you used to have to plow all that up in order to get rid of it. So say you had a farm and you didn't want all that stuff there, then you would have to get out your plow and actually plow the ground up and plant regular grass there in order to not have it. But now you can just use the landscaping mode and just paint the ground. And it's way easier to get rid of all that stuff. I mean, it looks nice for, visual purposes. It's kind of cool to have all those different plants, different textures and all that. But when it comes to actually doing something on your farm, it's in the way and you can't see what's going on. I wonder if I can pick those little ones up. I guess I can't. Cut a little bit of this, throw it in here. Make a little bit of money. I have spent hour after hour after hour cutting wood and throwing it in the chipper like this on this game. In real life, I never threw it in the chipper. I have a wood chipper, but I use that for like branches and stuff like that I can't burn or use for anything else, just to get rid of and make wood chips to put out for the garden and all that kind of stuff. But in real life, I spent countless hours just splitting wood. And then we get orders for wood, so we throw pickup loads full and run it over to someone's house, unload it for them. That was what you did all fall long and a little bit into the winter. Every day just about was spent cutting wood and delivering wood. Pretty good money. I mean, you're not going to get rich doing it. But it was a little bit of extra cash that could get you things you wanted, pay the bills. And that's always good. It's good exercise. You get to be out in nature when you're cutting the wood and everything. That's nice. Unless, of course, you run into a hornet's nest or something, or get some snakes around you. That's always a possibility. And depending on where you're cutting, ticks are a big problem too. I'm not a big fan of ticks. They're kind of a pain in the butt. My wife hates them. So every time I'd come in to the house from being outside working, she'd have to check me over and make sure I didn't have any ticks on me anywhere. Because the idea of one of them things running around the house just drove her crazy. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining. I don't particularly like ticks either. And it's no fun when they're on you. And you got to try to get them off. Especially when they get into the more sensitive areas of the body. You got to be really careful when you're trying to remove them. Everybody has a trick on how they do it. Some people say you take a cotton ball and some alcohol and you put it on there and it'll come out. Other people say that you can put some gel on it. It'll suffocate them. Some people say you put dish liquid on it and they can't breathe, they come out. There's all kinds of different home remedies for it. What I normally do is grab a hold of them and pull them out. And if they don't have the head when they come out, then you take your knife and you dig in there and get it. But that's not for everyone. You have to have a pretty high pain tolerance to do something like that. This thing hangs up so bad. It drives me crazy. They should make a better design one that kind of funnels everything in where it's not possible to miss like that. I mean, that just take a little bit of engineering. All you have to do is put up some raised edges on the side that would keep it from going up the wrong way. Get rid of this piece too. That way my front of my chipper is not blocked, so I can actually get to it. Now after this video is over, which will be in a few minutes, because I don't have a whole lot of time left on it, I'm going to probably continue cutting this wood. So what you're seeing right now is what I'm going to be doing until it's all gone. And then next episode I will come in with that other piece of equipment and we will start getting rid of trees on a much bigger scale. And I'll do that for a video or two, and then I'll probably go up and cut down the sign that will get rid of all the trees at once. Now this map has that where you can cut down and get rid of all the rocks, and you can cut down a sign and get rid of all the trees. All the other maps don't have that, but this one does, so might as well take advantage of that, since all the trees got to go anyway. And then we'll really get to work on making our field a lot bigger so that we can start planting massive amounts of stuff. And that'll be really fun too. But that's about all the time that we have for this episode. I thank you for watching, and if you liked the video, then please like it and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. I appreciate that. And don't forget to check out the Staring Into the Abyss radio show. It's on the channel every week. And until I speak to you again, love many, trust few, and do harm to none. God loves you, so do I. Bye-bye.